At 60, Shania Twain finally tells the truth about Ricky Nelson, not as a shocking exposé or a scandalous revelation, but as a long overdue reflection on a misunderstood chapter in her early life that quietly shaped the artist she would become. For decades, Twain has been defined by record-breaking success, genre-defying confidence, and a voice that helped redefine country music for a new generation. Yet long before stadium tours and diamond albums, she was a young, determined performer navigating a harsh industry, searching for opportunity wherever it appeared. One of those early encounters involved Ricky Nelson, a legendary figure whose name carried both prestige and complicated baggage in the music world. Shania Twain has often spoken about how difficult her early years were, marked by poverty, relentless performing, and a need to grow up far too fast. When she crossed paths with Nelson, she was still forming her identity as an artist and as a person. At the time, he represented something powerful to a young singer, a bridge between old-school fame and the promise of being taken seriously in an unforgiving business. Over the years, rumors, assumptions, and half-told stories swirled around their connection, often exaggerated or distorted by gossip culture that thrives on mystery rather than nuance. Now, with the clarity that comes from age and experience, Twain's truth is far less sensational than the myths. She has made it clear that her memories of that time are rooted in professional exposure rather than scandal, and in lessons learned rather than damage inflicted. Ricky Nelson, by then already a seasoned performer with a complicated legacy, embodied both the allure and the warning signs of fame. Observing him allowed Twain to see firsthand how success could elevate an artist while simultaneously trapping them in expectations they could never fully escape. What Twain reveals is not an accusation, but an understanding. She acknowledges that Nelson was a product of an industry that consumed young talent and offered little protection in return. Watching his struggles left an impression on her, reinforcing her resolve to maintain control over her career and creative direction later in life. In many ways, his story served as a quiet, cautionary tale, one that helped her avoid becoming boxed in or defined solely by industry demands. For years, Twain avoided discussing this chapter in detail, not out of fear, but out of respect and a desire to move forward. As she explains, revisiting the past can be painful, especially when the people involved are no longer alive to tell their own side. At 60, however, she feels a responsibility to speak honestly, not to rewrite history, but to clarify it. Her truth dismantles the idea that every untold story in Hollywood hides a dark secret, reminding fans that sometimes silence simply means the story was never meant to be dramatic. This reflection also highlights Twain's emotional maturity. Instead of framing her past through resentment or regret, she views it as part of a broader journey that gave her resilience. The music industry she entered as a young woman was unforgiving, particularly to those without power or protection. Learning from others' experiences, including Nelson's, helped her build boundaries that later allowed her to survive personal heartbreak, career setbacks, and public scrutiny. At its core, Shania Twain's revelation is about reclaiming narrative control. It is about separating truth from speculation and honoring the complexity of human lives without reducing them to headlines. By finally speaking openly, she closes a chapter that never truly belonged to the rumor mill in the first place. Her words serve as a reminder that growth often comes from quiet observation rather than dramatic moments, and that understanding the past does not require sensationalism. At 6, Shania Twain's truth about Ricky Nelson is ultimately a story of perspective. It is about seeing the music industry clearly, acknowledging the people who passed through her life, and recognizing how their struggles influenced her own path. Rather than exposing a secret, she offers something far more powerful: clarity, compassion, and the confidence to tell her story on her own terms.